All right, Algebra 1, here we go. Factoring by grouping. Okay, section 8.8. How do you factor higher degree polynomials by grouping? Okay, this is going to be like the fourth thing that we've looked at as far as factoring goes, and kind of wrap up what we do for factoring here in Algebra 1. When you're factoring by grouping, what you're looking for is a common binomial factor. Okay, it's like a greatest common factor, but it's going to be two terms. Okay, how do you go about doing that? Well, let's take a look here. If you had, for example, you wanted to factor 3n cubed minus 12n squared plus 2n minus 8, what you want to do is you want to group the first two and then group the last two. Okay, group the first pair and the last pair. Second, what you want to do is factor out a greatest common factor from each of them. So when I look here, I see that I can take a 3 out of both of those and an n squared. So I take a 3n squared out, just like greatest common factor like we've been. And you can think about dividing it back into both of them like I've shown you earlier in the chapter. 3n squared goes into there n times, leaves you with an n because the 3's will cancel. 3 minus 2 is 1, so you get n to the first power. 3 goes into 12 4 times, the n squareds cancel, so you get an n minus 4. You can take a 2 out of both of those. 2 goes into 2n, you're left with n. 2 goes into 8 4 times. And what you should get when you're factoring by grouping is you should see what's in the parentheses is the same. It's a binomial that's the same for both of them. So that's your greatest common factor. You take the numbers out front of them, the greatest common factor is from here, and then you take what's in common to both, boom, and you factored it. So you're taking out a greatest common factor, and then you're going to get another greatest common factor. Okay, and that should be your binomial. All right, we're going to take a look at some more examples of that. So factoring summary, I've kind of been summarizing as we go along here. We always look for a greatest common factor first in our polynomial. If there's two terms and it's a difference, there's a minus, and they're both perfect squares, then we can take a squared minus b squared, and that's a plus b, a minus b. We can factor the trinomial. If a is 1, split the x's up, factors of c that add or subtract up to b. If it's a is not 1, we'll fabulous factor. And then we can factor by grouping, what we did here. Let's take a look at two more examples of factoring by grouping. Okay, we start out here, and one thing that's going to kind of help you with this factoring by grouping is you're going to notice that there's 4 terms in it. Okay, so I'm going to group right there first. Then I'm going to look for a greatest common factor in this first set. 2 goes into both of those, and q to the 4th and q third, I take the smallest exponent, boom. Divide that back into there, 2 goes into 4 twice, 4 minus 1 gives me q to the 1st, minus 2 goes into 10 5 times, q to the 3rd, q to the 3rd cancels out. So I took out a greatest common factor there. Okay? 16 and 40, actually an 8 goes into both of those, and I can take a q, there's at least one q in both. 8 goes into 16 twice. Q 2 minus 1 is q to the 1st. 8 goes into 45 times, and the q's cancel out. Notice what I've got here in my binomial here, boom, they're both the same. Okay, so I'm going to take what's in front of them, the 2q to the 3rd power plus 8q, and it's going to get multiplied by that other greatest common factor, that binomial. That's the greatest common factor. And that's my answer. If I were to multiply that back out, I'll get what I started with. Okay? You can see it. There's your 4q to the 4th. There's my minus 10q to the 3rd. There's my 16q squared. And there's my minus 40q. So it works. Okay? Factor this one. Now, when you get a minus in here, okay, what you're going to want to do with that minus is make it a plus and then distribute the minus here. So I get that. So that becomes a plus, and then I change the sign on everything that's inside. You've done that before when we were combining like terms in the past, earlier chapters. That's a key thing. We want to keep a plus in there. Okay, that's going to make it helpful for you. Then do what we've been doing. What goes into 24 and 42? 6. T cubed, t squared, so t squared would be the smallest. 6 goes into 24 4 times. 3 minus 2, t to the 1st. 6 goes into 42 7 times. T squareds cancel. That'll be a negative 7. that I can take out of there. And then that would be negative 7 goes into there, that's 4t. And negative 7 goes to negative 49 7 times. Negative over negative is positive. Whoops, hold on, what did I do here? No, I pulled out the negative, so I need that to be negative. So that's going to stay negative. Yeah, that's right, because negative 7 times negative 7. I factored out the negative 7, goes into negative 49. That should be a positive. Something don't look right there. Oh, I think I wrote it down wrong to start with. That probably started out minus, and then we go minus again, it becomes a positive. So when I take out a negative 7, there's my minus. Okay, that's better. Okay? So you can see they're the same. So I'm going to take my 6t squared plus a negative 7 or minus 7, it's the same thing, and my 4t minus 7. Okay? So we're good there. Factoring by grouping, we're going to look at some more of that in class tomorrow, and we'll look at some application of it, and we'll get on that tomorrow. See you then, bye.